In this video we're going to be taking a look at Commander Keller and the Galactic Marine based upon their appearance from the Republic series, and this was released during the 30th anniversary line. So despite these being two repacks and repaints basically, Commander Keller is just a repaint of the Airborne Trooper from the 30th anniversary collection, and the Galactic Marine here is just a repaint of the previous version of the Galactic Marine in the 30th anniversary line as well. Despite those being just two repaints, essentially, they do have a lot to offer. Two great characters to add for a collection. I didn't get this set till many years later. I actually didn't get this till... It was around spring of 2020, just before all the lockdowns happened. After having it in hand, it's a shame that I waited this long to get the set, but I'm glad I have it now, and it's a welcome addition to my collection. So if you don't know anything about Commander Keller or this Galactic Marine here, Commander Keller is just another clone commander from the Galactic Marines, obviously. From what I do know about him, he is a lot more rough around the edges compared to some of the other clone commanders. He shows no remorse for his men, and he's kind of in that same categories like Commander Fate and Commander Neo. They're just very lethargic towards the clones that serve under them, and they're not afraid of having high casualties in battle. Outside of this comic book series, I'm not too sure much more about Commander Keller. I'm not sure if there was a Fate that was actually made for him. I don't think there was. And since the Disney takeover, I don't think he's appeared in any of the Disney source material as far as I know. In the expanding universe, I think he fits really well. He's a very interesting character, and for his action figure, I think it's a great action figure. As far as the Galactic Marine here, a lot of people treat this as like a clone snow trooper basically, and it looks exactly like it. And if you do have a bunch of snow troopers for your collection, he fits in very nicely. So we'll go ahead and get started taking a look at this comic book here. So I haven't read too much of the Republic comic book series. I have featured a few of the other comic book packs that featured Republic comics in their pack before on the channel, like Terrasa and Thome, for example, if you want to check that pack out. But I do know for this particular comic book here, it's centered around Order 66, and obviously it's going to involve Commander Keller and the Galactic Marines here hunting down some Jedi. And I'm not sure who this Jedi is. I feel like I've seen him before somewhere. I can't point to exactly what his name is. It's issue number 79, and I think this 30 here is part of the 30th anniversary. So I think I'll mention as well, for this particular comic book pack, I think this was during the time when the comic packs started upping their game. Before that, they were kind of lackluster with some of their releases, and they were mostly just plain repacks of figurines that weren't the most desirable at this point. This pack, I think, is one of the ones where Hasbro started upping their game with it, and we started getting some really cool ones. So a couple scenes from Order 66 here with Stas Salil and Plo Koon getting blasted, obviously. And not sure who this Jedi here is. Some interesting bug Jedi there. Looks like he could be like an ant cake from D&D or a grasshopper or something. And here's showing off Commander Keller and the Galactic Marines more. This is about the bulk of being featured in this particular comic book. I think it would be nice to have explored these characters a little bit more. I wish the Galactic Marines got a lot more attention than they do. Outside of Revenge of the Sith and maybe a couple EU sources here and there, they don't really have much of anything. I think they would benefit greatly from a mini-series or something. It would have been nice if they showed up in the Bad Batch or somewhere in the Clone Wars even. As far as I know, I don't think the Galactic Marines even showed up in the Clone Wars series at all, which is unfortunate. Nice artwork here. And the clones hunting down some more Jedi. Just trying to escape. Very detailed artwork. It's very nice. And here's Commander Keller and the Galactic Marines coming in to crash a party. Still on the run out here. And it ends with this Jedi here getting captured. And some more advertisements for the 30th anniversary line. I've talked about these two ships before. Star Wars Rebellion series. And some McQuarrie concept art with Mona Lisa. It's a pretty nice comic book. I think this is a really good one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the action figures. Take a look at Commander Keller here first. So like I said, this is just a repaint of the 30th anniversary Airborne Trooper that was basically released around the same time as this. And I like that action figure a lot. I do have that, and you'll get his own review eventually. But other than the paint, it's the same exact action figure. If you have that one, you know what you're getting yourself into. And this was during the era where I think Clone Trooper collecting and the Clone Trooper molds were at their prime. To me, the antenna mold and this era of clones, I think, is far superior to what we get today. I look back at, of course, what we have here and then what we get in the TVC line these days, and I don't think there's any competition. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So he does wear this coat here with a hood. Interesting that he would need that when he's wearing armor. And he does have a soft goods comma here, which is pretty interesting because a lot of the other airborne troopers that we've gotten in the line, I think, especially the airborne trooper, and there was a couple other releases of this as well, I think they all have plastic commas. It's nice that they gave Commander Keller here the soft goods. Nice detailing in him. And you can take this off as well. And I'll go ahead and do that. Very thick material as well. This feels really good. His helmet right there. Has that nice Tamora Morrison head sculpt. Same one that we were getting countless times over during this era. And I still think this head holds up pretty well. He does have red eyes. Some of the clones during this time had red eyes, which in Commander Keller's case here I think fits perfectly. Gives him more of that intimidating look about him. Shows that he means business. Not sure exactly what this is. All the airborne troopers have that. A little bit of a loose belt about him. And he has mud on his boots. So in terms of the articulation, he does have a ball joint in the neck there. Very nice range of motion. Mine's a little stiff, but that's okay. Does have hinged shoulders, which for this one it's perfectly fine, but for this one it's a little hindered because of that piece there on his shoulder. But it's not a big deal. Does have hinged elbows here. and swivel wrist. And he does have swivel waist, then swivel hips, then hinged knees, and hinged ankles as well. In terms of weapons and accessories, he just comes with the standard DC-15 long rifle here. And something interesting I'll point out about this after I look at the Galactic Marine here. And just for putting his coat back on, it's pretty simple. Just put it on like this. His helmet fits on pretty well. It looks pretty good. Now for the Galactic Marine here. So like I said, he's just a direct repaint of the previous version of this that was released pretty much around the same time as this. It was the third or fourth, it was either the second, third, or fourth figure that was released in the 30th anniversary line, the Galactic Marine, and of course it has the paint scheme that we saw in the Revenge of the Sith movie. And this one's the same exact action figure, just repainted all in white. I do have a lot of that particular Galactic Marine. I think I have like 5 of them at this point. It's a very nice action figure. It's very heavy duty as well. So despite him being all white, he does have some nice detailing in him. You can see he has some mud around his boots there. It's a very off-white. Nice paint detailing and nice wash on his backpack there. It's a very robust action figure. One thing about these Galactic Marines is they do have a hard time standing on their own, so if you get any of these, you probably need a display stand with them. I put display stands on almost all my action figures to avoid that domino effect. So in terms of the articulation, he does have a ball joint at the neck there. Pretty good range of motion. Does have hinged shoulders as well, and hinged elbows, swivel wrist, then a swivel waist, and then swivel hips, which are a little bit restricted because of this plastic comma here, but it's not too big of a deal. But he does have hinged knees and hinged ankles as well. In terms of accessories here, he just comes with another DC-15 rifle, which I'll point out what I mentioned previously. So they gave Commander Keller here the newer version of the DC-15 rifle, and then they gave the Galactic Marine the older version, which is interesting that Hasbro packed them that way. And if anything, I think they should have been packed the other way, because the Galactic Marine that was released single-carded had this rifle to go along with him. So you would think with this being a newer figure at the time that he would have had this rifle, and then maybe Commander Keller, since he's using a mold that's a year or two old at this point, he would utilize this one instead. So it's interesting that Hasbro packed it that way. But regardless, I personally prefer this DC-15 rifle over that one. It's a lot more durable, and it holds up really well after all these years. And it has all the detailing that you could ask. And one more thing I'll mention about this, he does have a removable helmet as well. Well, he has the Bodhi Taylor head sculpt instead. And I think this was one of the first action figures that really utilized Bodhi Taylor. So a nice way to differentiate between the two. It looks pretty good. And this pauldron here is removable as well. You would have to pop the head off. And his helmet there fits on really well. Very snug fit. So that's Commander Keller and the Galactic Marine. Would I recommend this pack for your collection? I definitely would. I think they're a very nice set of action figures. Unfortunately, they are pretty pricey. I forget what I paid for this set exactly, but I think it was around the $50 or $60 range for this, brand new. Which I figured at the time I got this, I thought, well, that's probably about as good of a deal as I'm going to get. And I think that still carries over to this day. And it might even be more at this point. They are highly sought after action figures. The Galactic Marines are still pretty popular to this day, even though they don't get a lot of screen time. But it's a cool concept. It's a precursor to the Snowtroopers, basically. And Commander Keller is a very interesting clone commander, even more interesting than a lot of them, I would say. And they're very nice action figures to have for any collection. Even though they're repaints, they still have a lot of uniqueness about them. You would never even notice they're repaints at all. So with that being said, if you did find this for a decent enough price and you're willing to pay for it, I would say jump on it. You can't go wrong with having these for your collection, especially if you're a Clone Trooper collector. To me, I see these as very essential to have. And regardless of what Legion you collect, if you're big into the 501st or 212th or you name it, I think this is a great addition for any clone collection. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more reviews in the future. There will be plenty more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate all the support. And check out the Instagram link in the description as well. More content will be coming on that. And thanks for watching.